Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we'll look back 3 years ago, the last time we saw some bitterly cold easterly winds during February. Now we've had all the talk over the past couple of weeks of cold weather returning in February. It hasn't quite materialised during the first half of the month. However, during the second half there is prospects, and do check out the past couple of videos looking at the longer term picture, of course with the risk of some stratospheric warming taking place as well. But today, because I'm unable to do a forecast video, we are going to be having a look at 3 years ago when we did see some really cold, bitterly cold easterly winds. Again, these are not just light easterly winds like we have seen. This was a proper easterly blast within a generally mild month, to be honest. We did see quite a bit of snow with winter storm Darcy at the start of the week, but this event isn't remembered all too fondly, because although we did see a lot of falling snow and we did see some very low temperatures, we didn't see too much accumulating snow. I'll try and explain why we didn't in this video as well. So hopefully this does jog the memory back to the last sort of major February cold spell that we have seen. Maybe if you're looking forward to some snow, maybe this sort of pattern could repeat itself in the next couple of weeks. Now we start right at the end of January, and you can see it's a bit of a westerly flow, a bit of high pressure to our north and our west, but really nothing other than pushing the jet stream further southwards. However, as we head into early February, look what happens. High pressure starts to emerge up towards Scandinavia and Iceland, initially not developing anything too significant, actually keeping us pretty mild with a southwesterly. But look what happens. The low drops away into Europe, and suddenly within about 48 hours it unleashes bitterly cold easterly winds. And where we've got this little lighter blue, that's an upper trough. We did see some really heavy snow develop there. That was named Winter Storm Darcy, that did produce significant snow across much of northern Europe and did just about skim parts of eastern England, giving around 10 to 20 centimetres some coastal areas there. Throughout the rest of that week, we did see lots of very cold easterly winds with lots of snow showers piling in. We saw plenty of snow streamers, even going quite far inland. And I do remember this in quite a lot of detail. We saw a lot of falling snow. It felt like it was on and off snowing for about 3 or 4 days straight. But we saw very little significant accumulations. Yes, on grassy surfaces, but on pavements and any darker surfaces, it was a bit of a struggle, if I'm going to be completely honest. We did see some snow overnight. That definitely accumulated a lot, but during the day, it really did struggle. And there are 2 reasons for that. First of all, as we just showed you, the lead up to this cold spell was very mild, and the onset of a cold spell was very sudden. So we went from very mild to very cold very, very quickly. Now what that meant is that the ground temperatures were really quite warm, at least for the first 2, 3, 4 days of this cold spell. The soil temperatures from 0 to 10 centimetres were above freezing, which essentially meant that if snow fell on the ground, if it was falling at a low enough rate, it would melt pretty quickly. And because the air temperatures were hovering around the 0 to 1 degree, it meant that those ground temperatures didn't drop all of a sudden. It took a couple of very cold nights to push those ground temperatures to below freezing. And by the time those ground temperatures got below freezing, we did see the temperatures start to rise again and the cold spell move away. And the second reason, which is a more prominent reason this time of year, again, the soil temperatures definitely prohibit it, but I think the main issue during the day was the strengthening sun. It's something that people do forget, because February and March can be very, very cold months, especially with individual weather patterns, with the sort of beast and the east we saw in 2018, for example. But you forget that the sun is getting relatively strong. Even into the start of February, we can start to see the first UV of the year, and it does provide that bit more energy that we don't get during December and January, that allows snow to sort of linger around and settle readily. So that was sort of a reason why I think the event wasn't remembered all too fondly. But if we look at the raw upper air temperatures here, you can see it was a bitter. -10 isoform covering most of the country for eventually getting pulled away. Another big thing I remember from this is that on that Saturday we saw exceptionally low dew points down into the minus teens, which is ridiculous. Sometimes we're struggling to get much below freezing in terms of dew points when we are looking at snow, and it can be a big prohibiting factor. But here we're into the minus teens. It was ridiculous with this bitterly cold air mass moving in. Now, we are able to go back on Meteoseel and have a look at the GFS run from those days, and we will be looking at the precipitation from this. We also look at the temperatures, dew points, and the expected snowfall from this event. If you start on the precipitation, you can see it was raining through much of the Saturday here, but very quickly into Sunday, all turned to snow. And it was that transition, as I said, keeping those surface temperatures still mild, and that is why that snow, at least on the first few days when it was heaviest and most widespread, really struggled to settle. But you can see Storm Darcy out to the east, only clipping eastern coasts for moving away and being replaced by plenty of heavy snow showers. Lots of snow showers packing it all down the east coast, but really struggling to accumulate in most areas. And that continued throughout much of the week. And the latter part of the week did show a bit of a breakdown here, but it was a much quicker breakdown in reality. This is actual GFS runs. This is not a reanalysis. This was an actual GFS run from the from early February. So it is showing you that even at this time frame, at sort of 5-6 days, it did get it wrong. In the end, we did see a very quick breakdown, and most of this did fall as rain. But you can see plenty of snow with this, plenty of falling snow. And if we do put on the snow totals here, you can see that we saw significant snow from Storm Darcy along the east coast and across much of Europe there, 10 to 20 centimetres. And we did see lots of falling snow inland, but you can see it is very scattered and very low in most areas, or only a couple of centimetres. And that's because we did see quite a lot of melting during the days, for eventually the snow did sort of depart away. Again, just showed you a lot more there for the Friday and the Saturday, but that didn't actually happen in reality. In reality, because that weather front did move through a lot quicker and was mostly rain. If I do show you the temperatures, and how the GFS was, as I looked at this already, is pretty overboard with those temperatures. You can see already into Sunday, it was showing temperatures well below freezing, and for much of the week, well below freezing. Accurate for the overnight temperatures, but in the day, we did see temperatures hover around the 0 to 1 degree mark, not around the -2 or -3 like the GFS is showing here. So a little bit deceiving, but it does show you the depth of cold we tapped into there. Really, really cold pattern. Again, not Beast from East. Beast from East -15 or lower. This was around the -10 to -12, so it's getting there, but not quite on the Beast from the East levels. But it is nevertheless a very cold spell that I don't hear many people talking about, or many people really remember all too much. You can see all the way into the weekend, it was really cold, but mild air coming in off the Atlantic eventually did push it away. And again, if we put on the upper air temperatures, you can see it got down to around the -10 to -12 degree mark. Really cold conditions. And finally, if we just put on those dew points, you'd be able to see it was bitter. Dew points widely down to -5 and even got down to -10 or lower as it's into the latter part of the week there. You saw that really cold dew points into Saturday and Sunday actually got down to around the -15, maybe locally even lower when that very cold air mass did move in. And then if we just have a look at the wind chill just to finish off, and you can just see how bitter it did feel for most. You can see the GFS dew points, feel-like temperatures or wind chill widely down to -10 or lower. Again, I doubt this is exactly what it was. Maybe a little bit over the top, just like the 2-meter temperatures were. In reality, it was a couple of degrees higher. But again, just emphasise how bitterly cold this spell was. And what we still can see in the UK, if you see a full-blown easterly wind tapping into some actual proper cold Arctic air, which is something that we really do struggle to see. Sometimes we get that very cold Arctic air there, but you can never get the easterly or the full-blown easterly. Other times you get a proper easterly, but never get that full-blown cold air mass. So we'll just have to see when the next time we see a proper easterly. Once again, some of the latest runs, as you may have seen over the past few days, have been showing something like that, perhaps towards the second half of February, but I do think it will be dependent on the effects of the major southern stratospheric warming. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed looking back on this event. Again, as I said, not too many people actually speak about this, but it was a really cold spell. Just again, didn't have the major snow or widespread major snow that would make people remember it a little bit with a little bit more detail. But again, we will have to see. We will see another full-blown easterly at some point. Maybe, as I said, in as soon as a few weeks' time, if that SSW does produce some proper blocking into the second half of the month, but we will just have to see. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.